Good morning. Now, in this 10th class biology, we have to start today the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. As you know that heteron means others and trophy means nutrition. Such type of organisms which are dependent on other organisms to fulfill their food requirement are known as heterotrophs, and this mode of nutrition is known as heterotrophic mode of nutrition. The food material can be found in the different conditions. One food material can be a stationary and one food material can be mobile. You can see the browsers or the grazers when graze the grasses. The grasses are stationary food materials, food sources. Whereas when the lion attacks and make the prey deer, then deer is the mobile. Deer is the mobile food resources. Mobile food resources. So you can say that food resources can be stationary and food resources can be mobile. You have to differentiate this heterotrophic mode of nutrition in two and three categories. One is the saprotrophs. You know that if the living beings is dependent on dead and decaying organic matters to fulfill their food requirement. Such type of mode of nutrition is known as saprophytic mode of nutrition, and such type of living beings which are taking their food from dead and decaying organic matters are called saprotrophs. Secondarily, when you are coming to the example, and in the previous case, we know that is the fungus, that may be the bacteria. And in this case, in the case of parasites, we know that one living being is dependent on another living being to fulfill its food requirement. Such type of mode of nutrition in which one living being is dependent on another living being to fulfill its nutritive requirement are called saprotrophs, such as lice in our hairs, ticks on the body of the dogs, cows, buffaloes, and you know that tapeworm in our intestine, liver fluke in the liver. So many examples can be seen. Cuscuta, amar bale. No, many examples can be obtained in the form of the parasites, and you know that those living beings which are dependent on another living beings are called parasites. Holozoic mode of nutrition, we know, we human and one amoeba. It is said that they firstly ingest their food material, firstly take their food material inside the body. Then they secrete the digestive juices, digestive enzymes to digest the complex food material into the simpler forms. So, in the case of amoeba and human, in such type of mode of nutrition, firstly the food is ingested inside the buccal cavity, inside the cell structure, and then digestive process is started. Such type of mode of nutrition is known as holozoic mode of nutrition. We have to study about in the case of amoeba, how do amoeba take their food material. Then we have to know that amoeba is unicellular protista, and this amoeba has not mouth, has not digestive system, has not the excretory organ like the anus and other organs required for the excretion from the body. So total body surface, total cellular surface is in the direct contact of the environment. Whenever they will come into contact with the food material, total surface, entire surface of the cell can engulf, can ingest the food material. Means it is said that amoeba is irregular in shape, there is not a definite shape of the amoeba. So whenever that will come in the contact with the food material, that will enlarge, that will protrude their cell membrane or cell wall structure, and that will have the tendency to engulf, to encircle the food material, so that food can be encircled inside the membranous structure, cell membrane or cell wall structure, and that food when engulfed, that will be coming inside the cellular apparatus in the form of food vacuole. And we have to discuss here that food vacuoles secrete the digestive juice, but in some context it has been written that lysosomes are found in the amoeba, and these lysosomes come into contact with the food vacuole and secrete digestive juices to digest the food material. After the digestion, yeah, during the process of digestion, the cytoplasm move. Yeah, food vacuole is allowed to move throughout the cell. This is called cyclosis. Cyclosis is the process in which food vacuole moves throughout the cell, throughout the different parts of the cell through the cytoplasmic streaming is that is said, And when the food vacuole is allowed to move to all around the cellular apparatus, the food which is digested inside the food vacuole will be diffused to the different parts of the shell, so that each and every part of the cell can obtain the food material. So that process of engulfing the food material, that process of engulfing the food material by the making a food vacuole, yeah, by the advancing of pseudopodia, the advancing cell membranous structure, yeah, you can say the protrusion of the cell wall of the cell membrane of the amoeba, so that the food can be engulfed and taken inside the cell. So you have to know that that process is known as phagocytosis. So endocytosis, two terms I have referred. One is endocytosis, but I have to refer that endo means the process of engulfment of food material inside the cell, that is called endocytosis. But I will divide the endocytosis into types. One is the phagocytosis and second is the pinocytosis. When the solid food material is engulfed, when the solid food material is engulfed by the food vacuole, that is called phagocytosis. And when the liquidous food material is engulfed, that takes always in the through the entire surface of the amoeba, that is called pinocytosis. So you have differentiated the phagocytosis means engulfment of solid food material, and the liquidous food material engulfment is known as pinocytosis. You know that this food vacuole, after getting after digestion, yeah, during digestion, this will supply the digested food to the each and every part of the shell by the process of cyclosis. And when the food material which is not digested, which become undigested, that will be coming in the contact with the cell membrane, and that will be excreted through the diffusion outside the body. And that process of excretion of undigested food material is known as exocytosis. That is known as exocytosis. So you can see the figure of the how does amoeba take food material. Here I have shown. Look at this picture. So here it is the amoeba. This is the amoeba, and this is the food material, food particles. This food particles and this amoeba is here, and this will be advancing. This protrusion you are looking in the cell membrane and cell wall structure, this is advancing and capturing the food material. And this capturing will be enclosing and making the food vacuole like a structure, so that the food which was in the contact with the cell can be engulfed inside. And that process of ingestion of food, engulfment of food, is known as endocytosis. And after endocytosis, now the food is moving throughout the cell. Now this vacuole will be secreting the digestive juices, or digestion will be started, and this digestive food will be cycled throughout the cell, so that the food can be diffused through the different part of the shell. And this process is known as cyclosis of food material. And when the food is digested, and when that is supplied to each and every part, when the food is not now digested, food become undigested, that is now excreted by the process that is called exocytosis. So this is the mode to take food material in the case of amoeba. In the case of paramecium, when you will recall the figure of the paramecium, you know that an oral groove is found in the case of paramecium, and that oral groove here throughout the pellicle of the paramecium, hair-like structures are found, which is called cilia. Thousands of hair-like structures are found, which is called cilia. And that paramecium is found in the water, and that will start the movement. And pull the water. If the water is there, and in the water if the food material is there, that food material by the ciliary movement, by the thousands of ciliary movement, that will be pulled inside the oral groove, and that will be coming in the form of the food vacuole. Again, That food vacuole digests the food and supply to the different part of the paramecium. So this is heterotrophic mode of nutrition in the different organisms. Tomorrow we will start nutrition in human beings. Thank you.